All right, everybody. AMG Hobby Talk, episode number 29. This is the post-Spring Expo edition. This was actually going to be a pretty quick episode because we got a lot of things we want to get into before we let Blair open up the store, but we're going to be able to share a fair bit of that. We're going to zip through. It's going to feel pretty quick on this one. If we've got any carryover stories, we may even carry it over into episode 30, but there's definitely some stories we'll be able to share with you. So first, I want to say hello to Blair, who is holding down the store. Blair, how are you?
I'm awesome.
Excellent. And he's there in the office. That's normally the reserve in the area of the collector, the scalps, collector, the people. However, Steve will be with us in spirit because when I show some of the items and things, we will be able to invoke Steve, and I'll share a couple of stories. I can share some stories on his behalf since I was present for some of the items in question and be able to share with you a little background. Now, next, Sherry, how are you?
I'm a little tired still, but I'm getting there.
Yep. Well, there have been situations in our lives sometimes when we're very tired. Long days, long evenings. We will not share all of these stories. So we will share some stories, but not all of the stories. But let's just say you have to be there. If you're there, then you know. If you know, you know. I'll just leave it at that. But yes, thank you for joining us as always. Okay, so as I said, the main focus of this one is going to be on the expo, but I do want to touch on a couple things really quickly. So one of the things that's going to be coming up in the store real quick, we're not going to do a full breakdown because, as I said, we got a lot to cover, a lot of ground that we want to cover. So I'm going to do this faster than we've ever done it before. I'm going to talk really, really quickly about 22-23 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection Hockey. 22-23, the year before the Bedard year. We want to emphasize that. Really important that we make that distinction since we're still doing the 2-year thing with Upper Deck right now. I will leave a link to the Beckett page for you. If you do want to check it out with the checklist and details, I'm going to include a link to it for you. In this case, I will not go over it with the depth that we usually do, but I just want to let you know. Nice looking cards. Ultimate is a high-end brand for them. Mm-hmm. If you like autographs, they're there. If you like memorabilia, they're there. Again, I'm not going to do a full breakdown. You got the jumbo patches. You got debut threads, patch autographs. Yeah. So some of this basically rendered images will be able to give you a thing. Bunch of parallels all the way through. So just bear that in mind. If you're familiar with Ultimate, it is a great looking product. You can get shields, tandem shields like this. They are awesome cards. For the player collector, someone like me or a team collector, whatever, there are generally some phenomenal cards on here. It's not quite to level of the cup. However, they do have some beautiful cards they do throw in here. So is my opinion. I think there's a great value here, relatively speaking, if you are a collector of this. So some of that will be coming to the store. Do check in with the store if you want a little bit more information on what's going on and how much. I will give you the quick breakdown, though, on what's in there. 4 cards per pack in the hobby, 1 pack per box. It's 1 box, 4 cards. It's all or nothing pretty much. And then there's 16 boxes per case, 2 8-box inner cases. The set size is 200 cards. The release date is supposed to be May the 1st. So forthcoming. In a single box, you should expect 1 autograph, 1 autograph memorabilia, or premium insert. So one of those. 1 regular memorabilia card, and 1 base parallel ultimate introductions or ultimate rookies. As I said, it's 4 cards in a pack. Mm-hmm. That's the whole box, and that's what you can get out of it. Excel file and everything with the checklist is included in the link. We will include that in the description for you. It is.
It's a really nice. I know it's not the Bedard year, but it's a really nice product. Like you said, lots of patchy auto goodness, and I'm pretty much sure mostly hard signed. Autographs. So
for the most part, yeah.
One of those things back in the day when I did open a lot of product and chase things. That was one of the sets that SP Authentic that I looked forward to just on the rip. Of course, you get less cards now than when I opened it, but
Yep, absolutely. And worst comes to worst, you can always check out and hunt down the singles. But either way, it's some cool looking cards. So just letting you know that's coming up here this week in the store. Now, let's get into a little Spring Expo talk. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some images with you. But as I share the images with you, we're going to kind of zip through them a little bit. And we do have a little time-lapse video that Sherry provided for me, so I will share that in a minute as well. But let's start off with a couple pictures. We're going to go into that. First ones we're going to start off with is a nice kind of large, wide-scale shot. This is one of the nice shots, basically, that you can take. I think there's like a balcony, basically, where these ones are taken. Is that right? Yeah. I've seen a lot of the selfies. We got a lot of the influencers, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is kind of one of the wide shots. It's great because it lets you see down one of the halls. Yeah. Because one important thing we always talk about is there's the one hall like this, and then in addition to it, you've got basically the aisleway, the long walkway, and then as you go through that takes you over into the other hall, and that's where you can see the PSA Canada booth, or as I like to lovingly refer to it, a gigantic shoebox. You've got basically the big box with the door on the side of it, And then we'll look at the other side of it just so you can see. So you've got this. This is kind of the office area where the receiving is happening. And then here's your angle from the other side. So here's where you can see, and this is what I was mentioning to Blair. He didn't get a chance to see what it looked like. So here it is. So you've got the shoebox, and then you've got the area there where people can receive, and obviously where you got the little line that you can snake around.
Okay.
And then you've got these little tables here where people can fill in their paperwork. I filled in a sheet basically to hand off my stuff. And then you've got the little monitors that show off the pricing, kind of scrolls through all the different pricing levels, which I actually thought was a good touch. I thought the little TVs with the information was a good idea. Makes it easier without having to necessarily walk right up, but you can actually see different levels and price points. And that was actually very smart, in my opinion.
For sure.
I like it. Yeah.
Brad and his team, Brad worked really hard on making sure everything came to fruition again for April. And I'm very proud of him. Hit all his goals, and everybody there was just fantastic. So hats off to you guys.
That's
very
great.
nice, very nice. And I think they made a good use of the space because obviously being that it was going to be receiving only this time, it was going to be a different configuration. But I actually think they made good use out of the space they had. You can see they got the little carpet area. You got the place to fill in your information, but then you've got the area for the line, and then you can actually receive and ask questions and do what you need to do right in that little area there. And then, like I said, the shoebox beside it.
Yeah.
Good stuff, guys.
I like the touch of the shoebox. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but it looks like part of a kind of not a Canadian flag, like a maple leaf with the white. I don't know if that's what it was meant to be, kind of a Canada touch, but that's what
listen, we got to do our CanCon, Blair. There are rules. There are laws about this. We got to do our CanCon.
Yeah.
All right. So next set of photos here, we've got some photos of the AMG booth. So this is where you could have met Sherry. You could have met the collector of scallops. You had the opportunity. These were the opportunities you had. So you had a couple of showcases on the one side. It was predominantly like set up to be a lot of buying. But on the other side, that's where you had the wax. And we'll touch on that in a minute because I think the team had some great success moving some of the wax boxes there for people that took advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, this is new tablecloths, new backdrops. So
looks good.
Tim Cahoot, master stylist. But the booth looked great. I absolutely loved the new setup. So
beautiful. And we were able to make some good use out of that a little bit. So that worked out quite nicely. So I'll share with you, I'll do a little switch over. So there's one more angle there in the AMG booth. So you can kind of get it from multiple angles and see it. Hey, I know those people. So we were there at the booth. We got an image of it. And I'll quickly share in a minute. I'll switch over to and I'll show the little Instagram live that we were able to do. So we'll have a little fun with that. And I'll run it in the background with it. So you can see, like I said, there were some cards in the showcase. There was mainly a lot of buying. That's really the focus of the area. But there were cards in the showcase if you wanted to offer on it. On the other side, there was a lot of the wax. So you're able to do that, including take advantage of some of the packer redemptions. So you had options in that regard. So I will share some cards that were shared with it as well, but I'm going to pull this off for a second. And then we'll talk quickly a couple of things about the booth, the setup and everything. And that's where I'll get a little bit of your insight, Sherry. But while we're doing that, I'll actually play a little bit of the Instagram live in the background, muted, so I can let it run for a little bit. But while that's going on, you can share. I'm curious if you have any stories or anything that you'd like to mention. So there's us doing the Instagram live. And I had, I'll share a quick story. I'll share a quick story about this. My favorite part was when we were talking about it. We agreed that we were actually going to do it. So first we were figuring out Sherry's tripod and everything. We got it all figured out. But then it was like right up until that moment that we hit record and we hit live. It was great because both Sherry and Steve were like, what are we going to do? And it was like, don't worry about it. I'll do most of the talking. I'll get us going.
Carlos did his thing.
Yeah. It worked out great for the color coordination though, because that's actually that's actually my old work jacket. So I actually worked for Shaw Satellite for a couple of years. And by the way, I got that jacket for free because I got that in the training. They had a little trivia thing and I won the jacket. And I have had that jacket for now 13 years.
Nice.
And it looks brand new. That jacket still looks brand new. They made that thing quality. And I've gotten miles out of that jacket, Blair. But color-wise, color coordinated-wise, it looked an awful lot like the AMG stuff. If you didn't see that it was the Shaw logo on there, you wouldn't know.
You know what? I never noticed.
Sure.
It's a little detail, Sherry.
The money bag.
Yeah, no, that was great. And I was happy we were able to pop on and do a little live and share some of what was going on at the booth that day. As other years, we weren't really able to do that. It was just little too hectic with me being over on the PSA side and trying to get back. So now that I'm officially back at the booth, it's much easier.
Yeah, and I think now that we wanted to basically do one and try it. First, we wanted to make sure it worked properly. We wanted to basically see what it looked like and sound like and everything, and it worked out actually very well. So now that we know that, we should actually be able to now in the fall. I think we can probably now we got time. We can we can think about it a little bit. In this case, it was winging it, trying to find the right date, time, and opportunity to do so. But now that we know we can, the Thursdays are usually really good because they're quieter. So it's one of those things where with planning ahead of time, I don't see any reason we couldn't set something like that up again. And so next time around we'll have a little bit more planning on it. But in this case, we managed to get it, and we were even able to show off boxes and things.
Yeah.
There's actually a little blooper. I don't know if anybody else has caught it yet. For those who have watched, but Blake,
now, is it towards the latter portion of it? Because I know what you're talking about.
There he is, right there.
Oh. That's the infamous picture.
You're going to see
him. Where the picture came from?
There was a box of donuts right behind Carlos.
People were paying attention to this. People were paying attention to this Easter egg, and it's like stuff happens. Look, it might be inside the booth, but things are happening inside the booth.
There he is.
There you go.
Oh my god,
he crushed it.
He had no idea we were doing a live video.
That's so funny.
The obliviousness only adds to the experience.
Exactly.
It only enhances it. But that's the reason why, Sherry, I want to be able to, if we can plan it out, I want to take advantage of that fact, because if we can get some more people watching, listen, if something happens in the background, that can only add to the experience.
Definitely.
I know that was only a donut, but he looked like a great white shark chomping into some flesh.
There was. So when we turned around, there's actually the chair over on the other side by the wax. There's a trail of donut powder going over to the chair.
That boy was hungry.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's too funny.
Such are the things that you can see and experience at the expo.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to enjoy it while you can. But now you know.
That's actually almost more than being with Sherry and Steve. That's the kind of things you miss when you're not there. Is those funny things that happen. It makes the weekend. That's funny.
Makes sense. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a couple images of a couple of items that were picked up at the show. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But before we do, so I on my own channel and my own time, I do talk about some of the items I picked up. Sherry had a very successful show from the Mewtwo perspective.
I did.
Is there anything you want to say related to that?
I don't have them with me.
I got a sneak peek.
Well, actually, they're in my office. But I picked up maybe 15 to 20. Maybe closer to 20 of So I got about 15 to 20 of Mew and Mewtwo's that I did not have. Now there was some serious bargaining. Prices were a bit high, so I had to really go around and come back a couple of times. One actually ended in a coin flip, which I did not succeed on, but but I did get some great items that I needed and ones that are kind of harder to find. So that was great. A couple PSA 10s, couple 9s, some raw. They'll be going off for grading here this week. So see what they come back as.
Very nice. I just think the key takeaway, though, is that it was nice that since you were able to focus on the AMG thing, it did give you a chance to wander the streets and check it out and see what was available. And if there was a Mew or Mewtwo that wasn't nailed down, at least you had a shot at it. So that was pretty good.
I don't think there was any left in the show when I finished. Only a couple of duplicates that I already had. But no, it was great because all the other years I really wasn't able to do that. I might get away for about 10 minutes, but I wasn't able to really get in there and look around and go through boxes or binders. So that was great.
Very nice. I would consider that to be a success.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Anytime you can throw in a coin flip too for a car, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, it wasn't my choice, but
no.
At the end, it was either yay or nay. So
yeah,
makes sense. So let me share a couple of pickups here from the table. So we do have a couple of fun ones. So let me start off with this one. This one I can actually speak to quite a bit because it was an acquisition from the Collector of the Scallops. And you can see a little on the side there, a little sneak preview of what I'm going to get to, but we'll get to that in a second. One thing at a time. So first, we got a set here of Lex Luger ringside action autographs from WWE Select. So this one actually, and I want to make sure I quote this right. I actually got a text message from the Collector of the Scallops, given that I'm a wrestling guy. I did get a message from Steve and I want to say this was early. So this one was on, let's see, that was a after the fact. This one was us having a little chat about it on the Wednesday. So sorry, the Thursday. So on the Thursday, I get this image. I haven't even gotten there yet. So I was actually I had checked into the hotel, and I get this picture, and we start having ourselves a little conversation about it. And it mentions it does include the 1 of 1. It includes the gold. It includes a bunch of the different parallels here.
I think he said it's the full rainbow. Yeah.
If it's not, it's pretty close. It does, but it has a couple of key ones. The key is the 1 of 1 because that obviously somebody's chasing. That's going to be one of the ones they're going to want. So we were having a little conversation back and forth to try to gauge what would be appropriate for this kind of card. And it is always a little bit tricky. I do think it's a really cool collection of them put together. But I think the key to it, as far as these are concerned, is that it's always a little bit of a debate with a collector, because I do think that if somebody wants to pick up the whole grouping of them, it's kind of cool. But I think for some of the folks that may be trying to do their own rainbow, if they've already got a couple, then the singles might make the most sense. Either way, I think it was a really neat collection of items put together. And Lex Luger was quite the star, but he was always, and that's what I mentioned to Steve, he's one of those guys that's a little bit weird because he was positioned. They thought he was going to be the next Hulk Hogan. They were trying to set him up to be the next Hulk Hogan. WWE, at the time WWF, was literally setting up for a championship run. I gave Steve a little background on it because they even had some house shows where they paraded out Lex Luger with the world championship just to see how people would react to it. Because at house shows, they're not canon. They don't count. So they just wanted to see how people reacted to him coming out with the championship as if he had won it. And they just wanted to gauge crowd reaction. But for whatever reason, they never pulled the trigger. But they were close because it looked like he was gearing up to have a championship run. But nonetheless, he had a very interesting career, both in WWE and in WCW. He was a world champion in WCW multiple times. Yeah. So nonetheless, a Hall of Fame caliber career, but a very interesting dude who's had a very interesting story and very unfortunate in the latter portion of his life. But he's still around. He's still kicking. So it's one of those things that's a little bit interesting.
Yeah. That's why I like this was my era of kind of wrestling too. So I like the shows now that A&E do with they do the rivals and the legends where they kind of break down, because over time you kind of lose track of these guys, or you don't get some of the back history. But those are real interesting, and I saw the one on Luger, so it was quite an interesting take on his total career. But
an interesting take on the total career of the Total Package.
The Total Package, Lex Luger.
That was the nickname. He was the Total Package.
That's
Lex
right,
Luger.
the Total Package. Yeah.
Although I did kind of like his brief run as the Narcissist.
It
was very
that one well.
Yeah, well, it was a very lame idea. I'll be honest. It was a very stupid idea. And basically, it was a gimmick where he had a lot of mirrors, and Bobby the Brain Heenan, I believe, was his manager. Oh, yes. And I believe he always pronounced it as Narcissist. It was very annoying. It was very, very dumb. But nonetheless, Lex Luger was an interesting character. One way or the other, he was a very interesting character. And a very cool set of cards. So there's one from the Collector's Scallops. Next up, a personal favorite, Mega Patch.
Mega Patch.
But even Steve knew that we have to say it properly. Mega Patch. So we have to do it. A good piece though, because this is a Phil Kessel, and it is from the chess piece of the Phoenix Coyotes logo, the now defunct Phoenix Coyotes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Soon to be the Utah something or others. We don't know yet. But I kind of like Yeti. I kind of would like them to go with the Yeti thing. I think that'd be kind of fun. But nonetheless, very cool piece. Again, you got the chest plate there, and you got a lot of colors. So it's a nice, colorful patch piece. If you're going to do it, this is a pretty great patch piece to have on it. So I thought it was really cool.
A highly collectible too. So.
Oh yes. Yeah. So we got a couple of Sidney Crosby kind of frame pieces as well. So very cool looking here. So we got this one here. We got another one here as well, kind of an in-action shot. Very cool.
And apparently, you may not get a gist of actually how big these are.
Definitely not.
They're kind of like 3 feet by 5 or something.
Exactly.
Like yeah. Just going on. Steve gave me a little heads up on them.
Yeah, they're really nice looking.
Yeah.
Yep. And one thing I'll zoom in on just really quickly here. You got it right there with the nice pen. It pops off. It's a good color for this particular background here with the dark background. So a nice clean autograph on these.
Yeah. And they're canvases. So I'm a fan of photos, but boy, I'll tell you, the canvas colors just pop.
Oh yeah, I love any canvas with the black frame. It's my favorite.
It is. They're nice. It really enhances the photos.
Perfect.
Collector of the everything may want one of those.
Wait, well, listen, collector of the everything. You know what you want. These Sidney Crosby autographs are pretty good, Blair. But you know what's even better? What's even better is if you got yourself a personalized collector of the scallops inscription.
The Holy Grail.
Oh yeah.
That right there. The collector of the scallops was here April 28, 2024. Dated, inscribed, signed by the collector of the scallops, the collector of the book. Even though he's not here, he's here with us in spirit, in autograph.
101.
$1 million. I'm putting a bounty. I'm gonna, if I can get it.
No cost is too great, Blair. No cost is too great.
I'm going to pay them.
It might be trashed now, as I believe what he used was the table skirt. But
a fortune, a grail lost to the sands of time.
I could have cut it out and made a cut autograph of the body.
This is a great tragedy. This is how great relics are lost. This is how great relics are lost. It's very unfortunate.
I see a whole episode coming of the lost autograph of
Yep.
Trying to find
so
it.
I thought I put these pictures in order, and I thought it would be absolutely perfect. Put that one right there in a prime spot, in a primo spot.
Oh, God.
So we do have a couple of images, some stuff that came in the shop, and then we'll finish off with a few more stories related to the expo really quickly. But I'll share one more actually related to the collector of the scallops. So this was on the Sunday, and that was where we had the mystery item. So you know what I'm talking about here, Sherry. So Steve says to me, I think it was I have something for you. And then he leads with the money, and I'm like, yeah, I'll gamble, sure. And then, but what we want to get to is Upper Deck authenticated. So a number of Upper Deck authenticated items. So the collector of the scallops offers me a sight unseen item to be determined. For I think it was for $10, and then I'm like, yeah, for $10, sure. For $10, what the hell? Well, so it is a Mike Modano autograph poster, and go ahead.
I was going to say, did you check it for ticking at the show?
Well, I figured at that point, listen, I trust the collector of the scallops, but at the same time, I figured if it was going to tick, I figured it would have gone off long before it ever got to me.
True.
He probably would have lost patience with it, and it would have been done. So I figured I was safe in that regard. But
that's awesome. That's a good piece.
Yeah, it worked out very well. It worked out very well. It's a 16 by 20 piece, and I did. Pardon me. I did actually find an image of one of them. Not the exact same one, but I was able to get one there, and I'll see if I can pull it up here. But anyway, either way, it was a very cool piece that I was able to add to the collection, which is great. That one's going to go in a frame as well, which is always nice. Now, one question I did have, and I don't know if you can, I don't know if you have background on this, Sherry. So, what was the impetus of having that group or that collection come in? Was there something specific about it, or kind of what happened with that?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that he took that in actually while I was doing my rounds collecting Mew and Mewtwo's, but what was it? The stamps? Was it something?
Yeah, there was those ones. There was those
came in with those and a jersey.
There's some jerseys, some Canada. The old Canada Post did a line of Hall of Famers now, like framed, and they're authenticated. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So it came in with that. I don't know the full story on how that came about. Maybe Steve can tell that next week or two whenever he decides to return to work.
Someday when he returns. Yeah. Very exciting.
But we got a couple cool pieces.
No doubt. So yeah, what I'll say is regardless, and if I can find it before the end of the show, I will, because I had shared it in a couple of venues, but if I can find it, I will. So as I said, it's 16 by 20. It's Modano with a Stanley Cup. It was actually during the 99 Stanley Cup. And nice. There's actually some nice room across the bottom for a nice big autograph. So I think it'll actually be a nice piece to frame and put on here. So it was very cool. I found a seller on eBay that was actually had the same particular piece. There's been a handful of them out there, but Upper Deck authenticated with the little certificate and the sticker. It's very cool.
Nice.
Very cool piece and no complaints.
Great $10 mystery prize.
Congrats.
$10 mystery prize. That's right.
There you go.
Thank you very much. So it worked very well, and it's going to fit in very nicely with the collection. Now, one more thing I'll share with you here, and then I'll share a couple of items from the store. We talk about obviously how big the show is and everything, but one of my favorite running jokes, especially with folks that are not familiar, is I always joke with them that obviously for a lot of the key cards of the hockey card hobby, you can find things like that. You can find the C56s, C57s, the pre-war. But then, of course, there's, the Gretzky rookie. And I always joke on my podcast that the Gretzky rookie at this point might as well be a doorstop, because I think everybody has one. Or if not, you've had copies. I've gone out of my way actively as a collector to avoid them, and I've had 2 copies over the course of time in my possession. But literally, Blair, I've gone out of my way to avoid them. And even still, I've had 2 copies over the course of time. So obviously there are a lot of them. And I'll share one example of it because it is, and there's a million, but obviously on Instagram, someone took a picture of one of the showcases. This is Martin Sportscards. So there's a lot of folks that have them, but Martin Sportscard had 2 showcases full of them. And by the way, this showcase is not only Gretzky rookies, it's Gretzky rookies only graded by KSA.
Yes.
So this is just KSA graded Gretzky rookies. And when somebody was by, I was walking around listening, and within earshot, somebody was asking about a Gretzky rookie. And the question that was being asked was not if we have one. The question being asked is like, oh, what grade range are you looking for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is about whether we got one. It's like, well, what kind of condition do you want in it?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't see, I don't know if Steve did, but I don't recall seeing any to the booth. And I only seen 2 different Bedards. I don't think either one of them was a young gun, but we were kind of avoiding them like the plague. Surprisingly, nobody came with them.
That's okay. We've got one in a picture in a minute.
Yeah,
so we'll still get our Bedard.
Snuck in. There was one that snuck in, but
we'll still get one in before the end of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find, and it was something I observed. Now, I think my theory is that I think Series 2 has been around long enough now, and I think the prices on the Bedards themselves have started to come down to earth, which is what we expected as more got into the marketplace. I think the demand is still there, but I think the supply has now caught up to it, and now there's actually ample supply. Yeah. And I think it's a problem, and this is my opinion. I think the prices of the Series 2 boxes have not caught up to the fact that now, even if you pull the Bedard Young Gun in the box, now you're not making money anymore.
Exactly.
Now it's like you're not even break even. You basically have to get it graded in order to get. So as a result, the value, the most likely Bedard card you're going to pull to try to get your money, is not even able to hold up to the price of the box. So if you're sitting there, you're paying almost $400 for a box or close to it, and the card can't get you $400, and that's a good pull. Yeah, the boxes kind of sit. Even with the bounty and even with the rest of the stuff, it's like, but if I don't pull the card, then or one of the parallels, it's like. So I think that actually slowed down the movement. I think that slowed down the number of Bedards. That's just my take.
Yeah, we've had a few hobby boxes here the week. We did over the last few days while the guys were gone. We did sell 4-5 hobby boxes, so I think we might be just down to the 1 now. But
I sold it last night.
Oh, did you? Yay!
Gone.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, so no, I think you're exactly right, though. It's and I don't think we'll actively go out and try to buy it and try to sell it for what we've been selling for. I think that run is over. So yeah.
And I think with more products down the pipeline, I think people are now starting to look ahead to some of the upcoming products because we always said it, the Young Gun is a great card, but at the same time, it will be available. Yes. And it was always going to be available because you've got retail, you've got hobby, you've got multiple options to pull one. And now a bunch of the folks that wanted one really badly now have a copy. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? They're not going to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 copies. So like how many copies do they need? And I think that put some cold water on it. And that kind of slowed it right down. Nothing wrong with that, but that was always the path we were going to get to. It was just a matter of when.
How we got.
And I think we've arrived. We've reached the saturation point now where the demand has now been surpassed by the supply, and now good luck moving those boxes without adjusting the price. You're going to have to start adjusting that price down. So speaking of Young Guns, I've actually got a couple of Young Guns here that I'll showcase here for related to some pictures in the stores. Thank you to Blair for sharing them with me here.
Yep, Blair was off with a couple all week, held down the fort.
I managed not
with the guys.
Yeah, managed not to burn the place down, and and picked up a few cards in the meantime.
Yeah.
That's right. So speaking of young guns here, we got a pair of Quinn Hughes PSA 10s from 2019 Upper Deck.
I couldn't
And of course,
pass on the two.
No.
and of course, the man of the hour himself right here. So like I said, Connor Bedard, there it is, PSA 10.
Yeah. That was in the same package. Took some finagling, obviously, given what we just talked about. But interesting fact, I don't know if it was just before this or no, I think it was just yesterday. Just chatting with one of the guys that came back, and we actually took a peek at the population. So it was almost 1,900 as of yesterday, PSA 10s.
Yeah.
So that's pretty strong.
Yeah, and counting. And I expect it to clear 2,000, 2,500, and it'll just keep going for a while.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah.
All right. So we got a shadowless Nido King Hollow.
Yeah, that I didn't pick up the last few days, but it was one that I had meant to add a little while ago. So probably picked it up maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, but just thought it was cool to throw in there because it is the original and shadowless, graded a 9. So cool card.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we got a couple basketball cards here. We've got a Kyle Kuzma Prime Prospects patch autograph from Vanguard. So good stuff there. We got ourselves a nice Chris Bosch Black Refractor.
I like this.
BGS 95. We got the 395 subgrades and then 9 on edges, but the Black Refractor, pretty cool.
Yeah, and numbered on the back out of 500. So
nice.
500. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then we'll finish off. We got to do some CanCon here. We'll finish off with a 16-bit Gretzky from Allure.
So this is a little bit of a cool story. This happened, I think it was Saturday. Me and the guys were here, and just a young guy came in. I think I managed to buy a couple of cards from him, nothing super duper. And so he said, okay, I'm going to look around the shop. We said, yeah, sure. And I went on doing my thing. And he ended up buying a box of Allure and kind of left with it. And, it just said, okay, see you later. And thanks for coming. And off he went. And anyway, not long later, he came back in and he's like, I pulled a card, and he showed me his phone, like with a pretty decent price, and I was like, let's have a look. And I remember talking about this when we did our, talk about products and things, but the 16-bit was a new. So anyway, extremely tough pulls. I think 1 in 800 packs.
They are very tough, yes.
And obviously the Gretzky is, you could probably talk on as well, but not numbered, but just very tough. So we chatted about grading and all that stuff, and we weren't sure, and talked about maybe if he wanted to move, because there was a confirmed sale of over 1,000 US for this one. Some of the other guys, not Gretzky's, or they're still selling strong, tough pulls. So, but he did come back in the next day, and so that was probably Saturday. Yeah, so we probably pulled a Friday. Sorry, I'm getting my story mixed up. Anyway, he decided to go ahead and grade it, and just cool stories. He's a younger guy, and so he should do well. We'll see what it comes back graded.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I think for the 16-bit digitalized Gretzky 90s hair alone.
Yes.
Wow.
It's flowing.
That's pretty much as good as it gets. That alone should carry all the value. But a very cool piece, definitely. Kind of a throwback there to the video game era. So that's a little Sega Genesis, 16-bit, the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo generation.
Yeah.
As opposed to the 8-bit. But very cool kind of card to finish it off with. And there was a little hockey there for a little CanCon content at the very end.
Yes.
So I think that covers it. That'll be a bit of an episode. I might have a couple of carryover stories, but we'll see. If we do that, then we'll do it on the next episode. We want to give Blair a chance there to get up and running up in the store.
Yes. Yeah.
And let Sherry head over. But I do want to thank Blair for holding it down. So that's perfect. And I also
you
want to
guys
thank
up
Sherry
there, but maybe next time. Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
And I do want to thank Sherry and everybody at AMG. It was a lot of fun popping by and working on some stuff with you. First ever live stream from the expo. Yeah. We got that done.
First ever live stream at all.
We've unlocked a new option now. Now we know we can. Yeah. So now future expectations. We may have to raise the bar. We'll see.
I know. We'll see what happens. And I've done a few of my awkward angle phone videos from the store, but
you've been doing great with the videos.
We might have to Might have to try to use the technology for one.
Well, if we do get, and I'll finish on this thought. If we do get to the fall expo and we have Blair there, then you have a lot to hold up to. You may have to crush 2 donuts in the background. Not just one is no longer good enough. We've already covered that. Now we might have to 2.
I love that photo.
Oh, so funny.
Awesome.
Now you know. You got to keep an eye on these things. You got to pay attention, because if you're not paying attention, you miss out on these things. But now you know. Anyway, so for Blair holding it down in the store, Sherry and everybody at AMG for a great time at the Spring Expo. Now that's in the books, and we'll look forward to planning in the future here for the next one and upcoming. Also in the store, you can check out. I'll put it really quickly, scanning down at the bottom, but it's always in the description. You can check it in the description. I'll leave a link to the stuff related to the Ultimate 22-23, not the Bedard year, the year before that, but you can check that out. And if you have any questions about what's available supply, use this. You can also include a question in the comment section. We did have a comment this past week. I'll carry it over because unfortunately we're kind of out of time, but do include comments in the comment section because we do appreciate it. And thumbs up and the engagement and more subscriptions, starting to work our way now closer to 300. So let's do that.
Yeah.
So for Sherry, Blair, myself, thank you very much for AMG Hobby Talk number 29. We will catch you in the next one.